Next is the gradient tool. For this example, I'm going to draw a star. Once done, if we click the gradient color box in the gradient panel to the right hand side, it currently goes from white to black, and click that. We can assign any color to either one of these points in the gradient panel. Let's assign a hot pink to the white, which fades to black, and this reflects in the star. With the gradient tool, which is located in the tools panel, which is 4 down from the eraser, we can change how the gradient flows. So with a click and holding shift to keep it on the horizontal, we can make the star go from pink at the left to black at the right. Likewise, holding shift and dragging downwards, shift holds it on the vertical, we can make the star go from pink at the top to black at the bottom. With this done, we can still change the colours of the star. For example, we can assign an orange to the black and a yellow to the pink, and that changes the star. If you're designing a logo that's to be used purely on screen, then you have less constraints on colour and you're usually free to use gradients. I've demonstrated the gradient tool here because it is something I use quite often as I develop quite a few web graphics. However, for the rest of this course, you'll find that we'll focus on block colours alone. I'll now show you the all-important tool, the text tool, and that's 3 down from the direct selection tool in the tools panel. The icon's a T. So if we select that and we'll click into the canvas, we should have a flashing cursor in which we can begin to type. Type in logo design as an example, and if we click and hold shift the top right hand corner and drag, we can make that a little bit bigger. So with that highlighted, selected, we can see in the character panel to the left, or in the type and font drop down at the top of the screen, we can see a range of fonts that we can select. So a new font has been selected. So you can tell from the character panel, this also shows it. The font name is all hooked up. From the character panel, we can also change the font again if we choose to do so. Selecting any one we want. Now from here we can further manipulate the raw typed out text. So selecting the text, we can change the colour, which is pretty straightforward. Again, we just select the colour in the swatch panel. Here we'll assign a red, the text changes to red. 2 important features can be found in the character panel. Selecting the type, we can change the font size. Currently it's set at 77.12 points. We'll change this to 100 and you'll see how it responds. The type increases in size. Now we can also change the spacing between each letter using the tracking option. Here it's set to 0, which denotes its default value. To bring the letters in closer together, we'd use a minus value. So we'll go minus 40 for the sake of the example. And there the type pulls itself in with each character being closer together. Now, you shouldn't settle for this as the final state of the text, because as you see, there is space between the L and the O compared to the O and the G. This is where manual kerning comes into play, and this is something I cover in the kerning chapter. An important feature you should be aware of with regards to text is type on path. You can find this by selecting type on a path tool in the flyout after clicking the text icon. Next thing we'll cover is the type on path tool. The type on path tool is used when we want to type out text onto a path other than a horizontal line, as we see here. To use this tool, we'll first need the path that we'll type our text out onto. So to make this, we're going to go to the pen tool flyout, select the pen tool if it isn't already selected, and we'll need a path. At the moment we'll have a fill, which is red, and a stroke, a path, another term of a stroke, unselected. So we'll deselect the fill by going to none in the swatches panel, and we'll select a black stroke, which will be our path for the text. So we're clicking with the pen tool and we'll create a wiggly line. Now we go to the type tool and we select type on path tool from the flyout. With that selected, we can now type onto the wiggly line, like so. If we increase the size of this, it'll follow up further down the line. Like so. Type in 120, and we see that's followed the wiggly line. The next thing I'd like to show is typing on a circular path. This is especially handy when you come to develop badge logos like the one you see here. As you can see, the word hungry is typed upon a circular path to follow the circular shape of the badge logo. Likewise, the word monkey follows a circular shape. So, to show you how this is done, first we need to select a stroke. We'll get rid of our fill, highlight stroke, we'll select black, go to circle, and we'll draw a circle with the stroke. This is the path that our text will follow. With that done, we'll now select our type on path tool from the flyout. Then we click into the circular path. And type in logo design twice just to give it a longer sentence. And we'll just align that just roughly for the sake of the example, and we'll move across, because in the next instance we want to type at the bottom. However, if we do this, replicating that with Alt Shift left mouse click and a drag, and rotating by clicking just outside of it until we get the arrows, placing that beneath, we see that it's upside down in relation to the top, whereas the Hungry Monkey logo has the word monkey the correct way up. To flip the text at the bottom so that it goes inside of the circle rather than outside of the circle like the text above, we look for a singular line on the path. In this case we can see it next to the L, a slightly bit hidden, but it's there, and we mouse over this singular line until we get an icon next to the arrow cursor which looks like a back-to-back capital L. Once we've found this, we click upon the line and drag inside of the circle, holding the left mouse button down and releasing the left mouse button. With this done, we can now go to the corner of the path of the square and we get the rotate function. Dragging down with the left click, we can now position this. So that is the Type 1 Path tool explained for the two primary functions you will use it for, which is horizontal and circular paths. I can now go on to demonstrate the Eyedropper tool. First, I'll draw a couple of shapes. A red circle and a yellow circle. The Eyedropper tool is used to sample elements from one shape to another. In this case, if we were to select the yellow circle, then select the eyedropper and click the eyedropper upon the red, this would sample the red colour and replicate it. Likewise, if we also have text, in this case red logo design text, and we have yellow logo design text, if we click upon the red text, select the eyedropper tool, then click upon the yellow text, the red text turns to yellow. If the text happened to be a different font, we could also highlight the text and sample the text below so that that also copies the text. So the eyedropper tool is basically to replicate elements, whether it be colour or font types.